3 Chinese astronauts have been left stranded in orbit after their return capsule was struck by what officials believe was space debris. The trio have been aboard the Tiangong Space Station, dubbed China's Heavenly Palace, since April. They were scheduled to return to Earth on November 5th, but their journey home has been postponed after damage was found on their capsule's hull.
6 astronauts trapped on a station built for 3. China's space rescue mission exposed. 3 Chinese astronauts were supposed to come home on November 5th. They didn't. Their return capsule was hit by space debris just hours before departure. Now they're stuck on a station that was never designed to hold them this long. And here's where it gets worse. China sent a rescue crew up on November 1st, but that rescue crew can't leave either. So right now, there are 6 human beings living on a space station built for 3. And China won't tell anyone when or how they're coming home. But the real question nobody's asking is this: what else isn't China telling us? Because when you look at the timeline, the official statements, and what China's space program has hidden before, something doesn't add up. Let me walk you through what actually happened and what we're not being told. April 24th, 2025, the Shenzhou 20 crew launched to Tiangong Space Station. Mission Commander Chen Dong, fighter pilot Chen Zhongri, and engineer Wang Jie. 6-month rotation, standard mission. October 31st, China launches the replacement crew, Shenzhou 21, to relieve them. This is normal procedure. The new crew arrives November 1st and docks successfully. November 5th, Shenzhou 20 is scheduled to return to Earth. The crew has said their goodbyes. They've handed over station operations. Their capsule is prepped. Everything is ready. And then, hours before departure, China's manned space agency makes an announcement. The return is postponed indefinitely. The reason? Their Shenzhou 20 return capsule is suspected of being struck by small space debris. Suspected, not confirmed, suspected. Here's what the China Manned Space Agency said in their official statement. They're conducting impact analysis and risk assessments. That was 9 days ago. No updates since, no timeline, no photos of the damage, nothing. Just 3 astronauts who can't come home and 3 more who are now stuck with them. Tiangong Space Station is 180 feet long with 3 modules. For context, the International Space Station is 357 feet long with 16 modules. Tiangong is roughly half the length and 1/5 the size of the ISS. It was designed to hold 3 astronauts. Maximum crew capacity, 3. Life support systems, calibrated for 3. Sleeping quarters, 3. Oxygen recycling, 3 people. Water recycling, 3 people. Right now, there are 6. The China Manned Space Agency released a statement on November 12th saying both crews are working and living normally and conducting in-orbit scientific experiments together. Working and living normally on a station designed for half that many people for an undefined amount of time. Let's talk about what normally actually means in this context. Life support systems on space stations aren't built with massive margins of error. They're engineered precisely for their rated capacity. The ISS has had 6 crew members before, but it's more than twice the size of Tiangong, and even then, NASA has documented that overcrowding strains CO2 scrubbers, increases humidity problems, and accelerates the degradation of filtration systems. China says everything is fine. But they also won't say when the Shenzhou 20 crew is coming home. They won't show us the damage to the capsule, and they won't explain why, if this is just a minor debris strike, it's taking over a week to assess. Here's something China definitely doesn't want you focusing on. Mission Commander Chen Dong just broke a record. He now holds the record for the most cumulative days in space by any Chinese astronaut, over 400 days orbiting Earth. That's impressive. That's also a record that's now being extended involuntarily day by day with no end date. And here's the thing about long-duration spaceflight that nobody talks about. It's not just physically taxing, it's psychologically brutal. Astronauts on the ISS have documented everything from depression to cognitive decline to what NASA calls asthenia, a constant state of exhaustion. That's under normal conditions on a station that isn't overcrowded with a clear timeline for when you're coming home. Chen Dong doesn't have a timeline. None of them do. The official statement from China's space agency says the crew is in good condition. But think about what they're not saying. They're not saying the damage is minor. They're not saying we'll have them home by X date. They're not even saying the capsule can be repaired. What they are saying is that they're performing tests and drills on a backup capsule, which raises an obvious question. If the Shenzhou 20 capsule can be fixed, why do you need a backup? This isn't the first time debris has hit Tiangong. In 2023, one of the station's solar panels was struck by space junk, triggering a partial power outage. China only confirmed that incident after astronauts were filmed during spacewalks, adding extra shielding to the station's exterior. They didn't announce it, they didn't warn anyone, they just quietly reinforced the station and moved on. So here's the pattern. China's space program doesn't disclose problems until they have to release it. And even when they do, they give you the absolute minimum information required. Remember, this is the same space program that in 2021 let a 23-ton rocket booster make an uncontrolled re-entry over the Indian Ocean after the entire world spent a week watching it fall. China's response? Most of it burned up. No big deal. The same program that, when asked about the Tiangong solar panel strike, said nothing until footage leaked. The same program that routinely closes off entire regions of their country during launches without explaining why to international observers. And now they're telling us 6 astronauts are living normally in a space designed for 3 with a damaged return vehicle, no timeline for rescue, and no transparency about what actually happened. On November 11th, space policy experts issued a warning that should terrify everyone. 2 separate incidents of astronauts stranded in space within 1 year, China's Shenzhou 20 crew and NASA's Boeing Starliner before them, should be a massive wake-up call that a space rescue capability or organization is needed. Think about what that means. There is no international space rescue system. None. If something goes catastrophically wrong on Tiangong, China has to fix it themselves. If they can't, those astronauts die up there. And the international community has no protocol, no hardware, and no agreement in place to help. We saw this play out with NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams. They launched on Boeing's Starliner in June 2024 for what was supposed to be a 10-day mission. The capsule malfunctioned, they couldn't come home, they were stuck on the ISS for 9 months, 286 days, until SpaceX could bring them back in March 2025. But at least with Wilmore and Williams, there was transparency. NASA held press conferences, they explained the technical problems, they gave timeline updates. We knew they were safe because NASA told us repeatedly what was happening. China has given one statement in 9 days. The crew is in good condition. That's it. No technical details, no photos, no timeline, just they're fine, trust us. So here's where we are right now. 6 astronauts of a station built for 3, a damaged capsule that China won't show us, a backup rescue vehicle that may or may not work, a commander who's already spent over 400 days in space and is now racking up more time involuntarily, and a space agency with a documented history of withholding information until they absolutely have to release it. China says the crew is working and living normally. They say the rescue plan is progressing according to plan. They say there's nothing to worry about. But they won't tell us when these astronauts are coming home. They won't show us the damage. They won't explain why a suspected debris strike, not even confirmed, has grounded a crew for over a week with no end in sight. And the longer this goes on, the more questions pile up. What happens if life support systems designed for 3 people start failing under the load of 6? What happens if the backup capsule has problems too? What happens if this wasn't actually debris at all, but something China doesn't want to admit? Space is unforgiving. Mistakes up there don't give you second chances. And when a government with a history of secrecy tells you everything is fine while refusing to provide any evidence, you have to ask yourself, What are they not telling us? 3 astronauts were supposed to come home on November 5th. It's now November 14th. They're still up there, and nobody, not China, not the astronauts, not anyone knows when they're coming home.